Howdy! How's everybody out in YouTube land today? I hope everybody's doing fine. I've still got this cold, but I'm going to do some crafting anyway. I've got this nice wood plaque that I have put the wolves on, and I can't get the camera out far enough to show you the whole doggone thing in one fatal swoop, and I've adjusted the camera a dozen times here to try to get it working just right, but we're going to have to deal with it. I might be able to move some paint that I've got here on the desk and some organizers and get a little more room, maybe. We'll see. Well, it didn't really help a whole lot. Camera's up as high as she goes. But be that as it may, what we're going to do here is we're going to apply stain to this plaque. And I'm going to start by staining the entire plaque with a pecan stain. Then my plan is to come back over the wolf, the paws, and the howling wolf down at the bottom of it down here with a mahogany stain. And I'll have to put some of that on with a micro brush because I don't want to bleed over onto the pecan stain. But you always start with your lighter color stains first. And now I could just do around it and all that, but there's a lot of little intricate places like on the foot and stuff that I don't want to have to deal with all that. So I'm just going to stain the whole thing, stain over top of the parts that I want the mahogany. I'll probably come back in on the wolf's eyes with a little acrylic paint. But I'll wait until after the stain is all dry for that. I'll do that because that's probably the only place that I'm going to touch it up, at least as far as I think right now, with any acrylic paint. And then after that's all dry, I'll put a coat of the sealer on it. And I think I'm going to do this with Krylon. I do want to use the wax that I've got, the protection wax, on something, but not on this. This I'm going to seal with Krylon because I think the Krylon will make it look a lot more shiny. I want this to shine and all, which the wax is a protective coat. It's a waterproof coat, but it is not going to make it shine the way I want it to shine. So with all that being said, I'm going to get down to it. I've got a sponge brush and I've got my stain, and this is the pecan stain. This is my favorite color of the stain. I use this more than any other color stain. Everybody seems to kind of have their own favorites as far as what they like. Mine is the pecan. But then again, it depends on what I'm putting the stain on. Some things you want to be darker, and I want the wolf to be darker than the background on this piece. I think that's going to make him stand out a little bit more. And this wood is porous, so it's going to be sucking up his stain. And that's fine. Let it do its thing. I'll apply as much on as it needs. We'll just brush that on, making sure to get it clear to the edges. Get the whole thing stained. Now, I could just paint the wolf, you know, and all that, but I'm thinking that the burning that I did on this will show up a lot better with just stain on it. And that's why I'm going for stain. I've looked at this thing now for a couple of days trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I've hummed and hawed back and forth about paint versus stain and effects and all that, but I think that it's going to look more natural if I just do stain to it. Rub it into the grain real good. I may even have to put another coat on. Depends on how much it soaks this up. And I'm not being sparing with this at all. The way I position the patterns on here I might take advantage of this knot that it's got, natural knot in the wood. I didn't want that like to show up in the middle of the wolf's face, or in the middle of my howling wolf or anything like that. I wanted it just to kind of sit there on the wood, maybe blend in with the coat. And once I get the mahogany stain in, I think that knot will be less noticeable. So we'll just really get it coated nice with this. This doesn't even have to be dry, although, stain dries pretty doggone quick. But this stain doesn't even have to be dry when I go to apply the mahogany. That's the nice thing about doing stains. Now, if I was doing paint, one coat over another, yes. Bottom coat has to be drier than muddy. And like I say, I'm being sure to get it clear to the edges of the plaque. I want the edges all to be stained as well. I'm seeing some light places in it, so I'm going back over them with another coat. Be sure I get it soaked up in there good. Now with the pattern part, I'm going to be doing the majority of the pattern part with Q-tips, or at least the edges of it all with Q-tips, because I don't want that bleeding out into the background. So now I've got the pecan the way I want it. I'm going to get rid of that sponge brush. I'm going to put the lid back on this. Looking for my little mallet. I've got all kinds of stuff stacked up over here. I have got to get this desk cleaned off. Good golly. I mean, I love having everything right at my fingertips, but sometimes you get too much stuff to your fingertips. Tap that down on there real good and set that off to the back. And I'll open up the mahogany. Shake that up a little bit first. And that sponge brush, I have that. It's just a little bit too big for that. This is a little more reasonable. Use a fresh brush with this color. Not that it would have mattered all that much. I could have used the other brush, but I ain't going to. And see if I can get this lid pried off of here without having to get up and get another tool. I have to get another tool. This one isn't quite doing the job. Hang on, Sloopy. Let me get up underneath that. There we go. The lid loose. And set it off to the side. Figure with Q-tips, micro brushes, and a sponge brush, I should be able to get that where I want it. But you can see there the richness of that. And matter of fact, let's just start here. I'm going to start with a foot and a Q-tip. See that? That just lays that in there real nice. Putting the color right to it. I want to stay inside the lines. And I'll come back right up to the edges with the micro brush. If there's any little edges, and I'm sure there's going to be, going to need a little touching up. Okay, now I'll set my Q-tip aside over here, and let's get a micro brush. Get a little on there. Just come in on the edges, right up next to the line. It's easy does it. Now see, if I had tried to apply the dark before I applied the light, it would have wanted to bleed over onto the background because that wood is so thirsty. So we got the wood soaked up with the lighter stain first. Then we come back in with the darker stain. Now, get me a fresh Q-tip going. That one's getting a little fuzzy. Come in over here on this. I'll just dab it right down there. Right along the line. Just take my time. I'm not running any foot race. And I know you can't see a whole lot of that the way this camera's set up. Maybe if I lower it, change the angle a little bit. There we go. Get the main part of it done, and then we can come back with the micro brush and get any edges that need touch up, and I'll get the toenails too with the micro brush. Okay, that's the major part of it. Now, grab the micro brush all around the edges of the design. We'll get the color soaked in there. Whatever might need a little bit of help. Now, we're going to get the toenails. See how that easy that goes on there? Cool beans. Now, on this wolf down here, we'll go ahead and get him next. I'm going to use the micro brush on him. Let's start up here on his head. So he's another one that if I need to touch that eye up a little bit, I can grab a little paint and touch up the eye. Keep going around the edges of him and the thin spots like these legs. Major body part we can get with a Q-tip, but we'll get the outline of him done with the micro brush. You see how I do that? I come in just a little bit, 1/16 of an inch away from the line, because that wood grabs that stain and pulls it right out to where I burnt the line in. If you go in too close to the line, it's liable to draw it over, and you don't want to do that. If you enjoy watching me do this, be sure and give this a thumbs up. Share it around on your social media too, so that everybody can learn how to do this. It's a lot of fun. Be creative and make something pretty, something that somebody will enjoy hanging in their home. If you haven't subscribed to me, I'd appreciate it if you would. I've tried to take care of my folks that enjoy my work, want to support the channel. I do a live stream every Monday night at 8 o'clock here on YouTube, and I do a live stream every Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock on Twitch. I also do live streams in the middle of the night over on Twitch too, but that's kind of come as catch can. It's every night. It just varies what time I'm on there. But if you sign up over on Twitch and you follow me over there, they'll send you an alert when I go live in your email. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find. You can go check out my Etsy store. URL is in the description of the video for all that stuff, and the Etsy store too. I've had folks ask how they can support the channel. Well, you can purchase my artwork over on Etsy. I've got my art, and I've got is that on there? I've got my homemade soap, goat's milk soap. I've got my fragrance oils. I think it's a little piece of pattern paper, for crying out loud. My goodness. Got jewelry, artwork, some of my woven stuff, dream catchers, all kinds of things on the Etsy channel that you can check out. Or there is a button on the banner of my YouTube channel. It has a little P on it. That's for PayPal. You hit that, you can donate to the channel and support the channel that way. Or on Monday nights when I do the live stream, there's the super chat, where you can super chat if you would like to. Every bit is always appreciated. It helps me be able to keep bringing in new products and new craft things to show you. I didn't go to the Q-tip after all. I've just been doing him with the microbrush because that wood's just so good at drawing up that color. And there he is. And he looks better in person than he does on the camera. And all the little lines that I burned in are showing up real good here. Okay, so with that done, now let's rearrange the camera for the big wolf, for the face. Let's see if I can get him all in there in one fatal swoop. For the most part, yes. Get rid of some alerts that are popping up here. Okay. Now, come in with the micro brush on the ears. I tend to want to kind of start at the top of a design and work my way down on it. And his ears are at the top of his head, so that's where we're starting. That little sponge on that micro brush sure does suck up a lot of paint for such a little bitty area. You wouldn't think that that would carry the wallop that it does. I love these micro brushes. They have micro brushes on Amazon, but they're not quite the same as these. These I get from WelbornGourdFarm.com. And I'm really liking these. You can get big old handles for them too if you want to, but I don't like the handles. They get in my way. I'll grab a hold of this and do what I need to do without dealing with the handle. And now with stain, I'll just throw this little brush away. You know, I get 1,000 of them in a pack when I buy them. But for paint, you can just wipe them off until no color comes off of them, and they're good to go for the next go round. Now, could I do it with a Q-tip? Yes, you can do it with a Q-tip. But the thing is that if you get too much down and too close to the line, it's going to bleed over. And I'd rather it not do a lot of bleeding over. If I do it with a micro brush, I have a little bit more control over what the stain's going to do. How much goes down in what area. Now, if it does end up doing a lot of bleed over, and it could do it, I ain't going to say that it won't, I can always come back in and paint the background on it to cover up the bleed over. I mean, you know, there is nothing that's not fixable. But I'll wait until it's dry and see what it's going to do before I make that decision. So tonight, what we're doing is we're just putting this stain down on the wood. Then I'll let it dry overnight and figure out what I want to do next. It's a work in progress. I mean, I could even change my mind altogether if I wanted to and say, well, you know what? I don't like that at all. And just decide to paint the whole thing with the mahogany and then come back in and redo the wolf and the feet and the howling wolf with paint. I mean, shoot, there's a lot of different ways you can go. A project is never over until the artist says it's over. A lot of times people get into a project, I've seen this happen a million times, and they'll say, oh, that's just awful. I don't like the way that turned out at all. And they'll pitch it. Lord, don't do that. Just because it didn't turn out the way that you originally intended for it to turn out, don't mean it didn't turn out. There's all kinds of ways to fix it. It may be telling you that, well, your idea is not what I want to be. Let your work talk to you and tell you. Then you'll know the next time what didn't work and be able to change it up. And say, you know, I tried that the last time and it didn't work doing it that way. But if I try this, 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 and this, then maybe I can get it to work that way. Now, I'm just kind of curious about something. As I get into this knot, I want to work this right on around here into the knot and see if that doesn't make that knot cooperate with me a little bit. And then I may just come on down, you know, and give him a little bit of a front here. You'll have to excuse me a minute while I wipe my nose. Cold is kicking my fanny. Yeah, see, it can come on down right over that knot. For the front of the wolf. And just cover that knot up and make it just fit right into the pattern. Matter of fact, grab a Q-tip here. We just make that knot work. See? I'm done. Nobody will even know that there was a knot in it. Mopping this stain in all up here on him. See, and we can come back in, even do, you know, lighter color of acrylic paint on the nose itself if we want to. Or who knows, I may just end up painting him. You never know what I'm liable to do. I don't even know what I'm liable to do. We'll see what it looks like when I get done. Oops, I dropped a little paint there alongside of him. Off the Q-tip, it dripped. Wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, this might have been a little too dark for him. We'll see how it looks when it dries. It's liable to dry a little bit lighter. You can always come back with a little light color to in acrylic paint to put some fur on him. Some highlights. Yeah, I see that the outside of this is going to need something. And I'll come up with something for him. So that'll be tomorrow's episode on what I'm going to do to change it up a little bit. You get to see the stain going on to him anyway. See, I'm just tapping it in. That wood just grabs it and sucks it up. I've got an idea for the background on him, on what I can do, just around all the design parts. I'll probably leave the edges alone, but around the design parts, I've got some antiquing stuff that I can put on him. It'll look pretty cool. Or I could put some leaf. I've got all kinds of different colors of leaf that I could put to it. But I think even before I do that, I want to make sure that I'm happy with the design itself. If I need to do highlights or anything, I may decide not to do anything to it. Just leave it like this, because that doesn't look bad, except for the background, you know, where I've dribbled. And try to move this up a little bit. You can see on the wolf, down here, it's bled a little bit off. And so I'll come back in with something just, you know, around these a little bit to set them off. You know, cover this piece up here. Up at this ear up here, it's started to bleed over a little bit. And so we can fix that. Right? Nothing that ain't fixable. won't be fixed tonight because I need to let this dry before I do any more to it. But there you have that part of it stained up and ready for process number 3. Process 1 was carving in the wolf head with the wood burner. Process 2 was doing the feet and the wolf with the wood burner. Process 3 has been the staining. Now process 4 will be whatever highlighting I need to put in and background that I need to put in. And that will be tomorrow night's. And then what should be left, I'm thinking at this point, what should be left to do, if all that works out well, is just for me to put the Krylon to it and then put a hanger on the back. And that I won't be filming, but I'll show you the finished project when I get it done. So there you have it, and I hope you enjoyed this exciting episode. Give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media, check out my Etsy store and all my other stuff that's down there in the description of the video. And with that, there's only one thing left to say, and that's Brenda's Crafty. Be like Brenda.